The 1954 Ohio State University football team won 10 straight football games, including the Rose Bowl, won the Big Ten Championship and the National Football Championship. I wish to congratulate our head coach, Woody Hayes, the members of his fine coaching staff, and all the boys who made this possible. Behind any great achievement, of course, there is a story. And for this story, I'd like our head coach, Woody Hayes, to tell you all about it. Congratulations, Woody.
Thanks, Dick. Yes, friends, there is quite a story behind this season. So we'll start out with our coaches, and then with their players, and then with some of the highlight pictures from that exciting season. Starting with our coaches is Harry Strobel, our offensive center and guard coach. Lyle Clark, our defensive line coach, who came with us just a year ago from the University of Minnesota. And our offensive tackle coach, Bill Hess. Esko Sarkin, who coached both the offensive and defensive ends. Gene Feckety, backfield coach, who was in charge of opponents' offenses. Doit Perry, our backfield coach, who was also in charge of pass defense. Doit left us recently to go to Bowling Green as head coach. And Ernie Godfrey, who has been on our staff for 26 years. This year, he acted in capacity as freshman coach. Now Ernie Biggs, our fine trainer. Here are three of our sophomore boys: Hubie Bobo, our fullback from Chauncey Dover, and Jimmy Roseborough from Ashland, a great defensive halfback, and Dick Guy, another sophomore tackle from Mansfield, Ohio. Here are our co-captains for 1955. On the left, Francis Mashinsky from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and on the right was Kenny Vargo. Now three of our fine ends. On the left is Freddie Chris, in the middle is All-American Dean Duggar, a senior, and on the right is Bill Michael. Bill Michael and Freddie Chris are sophomores, and Dean, of course, graduated. Here's a good shot of Jerry Williams, left guard, senior from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And here's Big Jim Parker with him and Jim Reichenbaugh. Here are individual shots of each one. Here's Jerry Williams again and Jim Reichenbaugh, and another shot of Big Jim Parker. Big Jim is 6'4" and weighs 248. He's a sophomore from Toledo. Here's little Tad Weed, who's done so much for us in the last 3 years as an extra point and field goal kicker. Tad Weed is a senior from Grandview. Our co-captains of 1954 from Alliance, John Borton, quarterback, and Dick Brubaker, our right end. Here's Bob Thornton in his second year of law school. Played center almost the entire season. Bob is from Willard, Ohio. Three very, very fine backs. On the left is Jerry Harkrader, Dave Leggett, and Hop Cassidy. Here's another better shot of them. Not very big boys, but certainly fine football players. And here's Jack Gibbs, senior, cum laude in education, who graduated the fall quarter. Dick Olinsky, our left tackle in the white coat, is in his first year of medicine. And on the left is little Dave Weaver, who will be in dentistry next year. He's in pre-dentistry this year. Dave is from Hamilton. Dick is from Cleveland. And Don Swartz, senior left tackle from Newark, Ohio. Don had a bad knee, but he gave us a lot of good football. And Bob Watkins, our great senior right halfback from New Bedford, Massachusetts. And Dick Young, a senior right halfback, great pass defender, a cum laude graduate in education in December. Here's our first game of the season against Indiana. We were picked as pretty much of a mystery team. Indiana was picked as a fairly good team. We were selected something around 5th in the league for the year, 17th in the nation. In the first quarter, we start a drive here with a pass from quarterback Dave Leggett to captain Dick Brubaker. Takes us clear down across the 30-yard line. A few plays later, Hop Cassidy scores standing up on our belly sweep with Jim Reichenbaugh getting an excellent block. Tad Weed comes in to convert, and we lead 7-0. Now here's Indiana's high water mark with a great defensive play by Jimmy Roseborough and Dick Brubaker. Here's Jimmy crashing through, making the tackle, and having it cleaned up there by Dick Brubaker, and we take over at that point. Again, quarterback Dave Leggett calls on a pass to put us across the 50-yard line. This time it's 21 yards to Dean Duggar. Dean holds on to the ball. Here's a quick hitter to Bob Watkins for 15 yards. Well, we're knocking at the door for that second touchdown. And here it comes, the pitch out to Bob Watkins, and he scores just barely. A good block by Dean Duggar, and he gets to the goal line stripe. And again, Tad Weed comes in and converts to give us a 14-0 lead. Here's a good kick by Hubie Bobo, but Indiana returns this kick 35 yards. Good blocking. It's finally stopped down here by Dave Leggett and Hubert Bobo. Here's a rather peculiar play with Florian Helinski starting out here to the left and keeping and cutting back inside. And then something's going to happen. Pop goes the ball, and Hop Cassidy takes it and goes 69 yards with Don Swartz getting a good block there. Hop goes all the way. Now the score is 21-0. Here's a pass by Florian Helinski, and it's picked off by number 22, our Dave Leggett. And here goes Dave. He picks up some good blocks. That's either good running or poor tackling, depending on which team you're rooting for. And now with runs by Jerry Harkrader, Bob Watkins, and Hubie Bobo, here's Bob going the last way for the final touchdown. 11 yards on a quick hitter, and Bob Watkins scores standing up, and we win our first game over Indiana 28-0. California came to town regarded as the top team on the West Coast. They'd played a very tight and thrilling game against the University of Oklahoma and had won a lopsided game over San Jose State. They boasted 2 potential All-Americans in their center, Matt Hazeltine, and their fine quarterback, Paul Larson. Here's a good shot of the Ohio State band, the greatest marching band in the country. On the first play that Ohio State has the ball, Howard Cassidy goes 26 yards for a touchdown with good blocking by Jim Reichenbaugh, Dean Duggar, Dick Helinski, and Hop scores standing up to give us a 7-0 lead. For Tad Weed comes in and converts. Here's a great defensive play by number 43, our right halfback, Jimmy Roseborough, a sophomore. Watch him hit Larson. And Larson gets rid of the ball, and Jim Roseborough recovers it on the 12 to stop a drive that might have scored. Here's a flare pass from Dave Leggett to left halfback Howard Cassidy. Howard eludes 6 men before he's tackled by the 7th. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th man finally stops him after a gain of 26 yards. Here's a pass from quarterback Dave Leggett behind excellent protection to sophomore left end Bill Michael for our second touchdown. Again, little Tad comes in and converts, and we lead 14-0, but not for long, because on this next kickoff, Paul Larson takes the ball and streaks 68 yards. It looked as though he were on his way for a touchdown, but there's a great defensive play here by Jerry Harkrader. Watch number 44 coming into the picture right now. Watch number 44. The great job he does staying on his feet and holding up that play till he could get help. However, 8 plays later, Cal's right halfback barrels into the end zone over his own left tackle for the score. They convert, and now we lead by only 14-7. Here's a quick trap up the middle with Robert Watkins carrying. Pretty good blocks, but we need 1 or 2 more. And it goes about 30 yards, but not quite enough to break away. Time is running out in the half, and on the next play, number 43 right halfback Jimmy Roseborough goes for 21 yards. Good blocking by Hubert Bobo on the right side of her line. And he goes down to the 15-yard line, but the clock runs out before we have the opportunity to score. Here at the half, Dr. John W. Wills and Wesley Fessler were admitted to the Hall of Fame. Here's a peculiar play with Paul Larson bootlegging around here and keeping. He fumbles the ball on the 6-yard line. It bounces into the end zone, and California must have been living right because they recovered the ball for a touchdown. However, they did miss the extra point, and Ohio State now leads by the scant margin of 14-13. Here's a good run by Jerry Harkrader for 28 yards behind excellent blocking. He cuts well, streaks down the field, but he's finally stopped by the Cal safety man after a gain of about 28 yards. Paul Larson's going to bootleg out here to his right, and Howard Cassidy's going to come up with the ball. Number 40 takes the ball, gains about 10 yards before he's tackled. That puts us up to the middle of the field, and here's a pitch out to Howard Cassidy with a good block by number 42, Hubert Bobo, and another good block down the field here by our right guard, and Howard Cassidy goes into the end zone standing up. Tad Weed again converts, and the final score is 21-13 favor Ohio State. For a year now, we had been smarting under the defeat that Illinois had given us in our own stadium in '53, and we were very anxious to repay Illinois. We found them to have another great backfield, but a line which wasn't quite so good. Here's Bob Watkins going for our first touchdown, 41 yards up the middle, on a good trap by Jim Reichenbaugh and good downfield blocks by Dean Duggar and Dick Brubaker. Tad Weed comes in and converts, and the score is 7-0. Here's a pass. Dave Leggett being chased out of the pocket. He drops back and finds Howard Cassidy over on the sideline, and Howard runs from the 10 into the 3 where he's knocked out of bounds. On the next play, Hubie Bobo hits over our left guard, Jerry Williams, for the score. Good blocking by Howard Cassidy. Hube just won't give up. Jerry Crasher comes in, kicks the extra point to give us a 14-0 lead. Here's our third touchdown with Bob Watkins hitting straight ahead from his right half-back position into the end zone. And again, Tad Weed converts, and the score is 21-0 at halftime. We take the ball in the third quarter, and in 10 plays march 99 yards. Here's one of them going with 33 yards with Hubie Bobo getting an excellent block and Bob Watkins doing a fine job of ball carrying. He crosses the 50, and on the next play, a beautiful pass from our quarterback, Dave Leggett, to left end, Dean Duggar. Pretty congested down there, but Dean catches the ball and goes clear down to the 5-yard line. Here's Howard Cassidy on the quick hitter. He doesn't quite score this time, but it's a pretty good play, so Dave Leggett calls it again. And this time Howard Cassidy goes into the end zone on the quick hitter. And Tad Weed comes in to convert to give us a 28-0 lead. There's Howard Cassidy coming out of the ball game. His place was taken in the lineup by Jerry Harkrader. And here's Jerry Harkrader going for a touchdown. A good block again by Hubert Bobo. Some excellent peel blocks down the field by Dick Olinsky and other men. And Jerry goes into the end zone. This time the extra point is missed, and we lead 34-0. Here's a Buckeye pass that backfired. And J.C. Caroline, number 26 of Illinois, an All-American in his sophomore year, picks in the ball. Good downfield blocking. And he breaks for the sideline and goes all the way. The extra point is good, and Ohio State leads 34-7. Here's John Borton engineering a march with Don Visick taking the ball for 14 yards on a buck over his left guard. And the next play shows John Borton on a quarterback sneak scoring from the 1-yard line. Final score, Ohio State 40, Illinois 7. Our fourth game brought us against a very strong Iowa team. Although they'd been defeated the week before 14-13 by Michigan, they still were in the running for the Big Ten title. Here's their first play from the line of scrimmage. They shift. It's a very troublesome shift which has a tendency to draw us offside. Here's Binky Brody, their fullback and captain, going up the middle for 17 yards on a trap play. That was their longest gain from scrimmage of the entire day, and one of the few long gains all season against the Bucks. Now here's Dave Leggett running to his left and optioning to right halfback Bob Watkins. A good block by Hubert Bobo. And Bob Watkins goes down the sideline, crosses the 50-yard line for a 38-yard gain. A couple of plays later, Ohio State passes. It's completed, but to the wrong team. The safety man for Iowa picks off the ball, goes up the middle, cuts to his left, picks up a couple of good blocks, and goes all the way for a touchdown. The conversion is good, and Iowa leads 7-0, but not for long. For here's Bob Watkins scoring from the 1-yard line after a 75-yard march in 17 plays by the Bucks. Little Tad Weed converts, and the score is 7-7. Here's Here's Bob Watkins again on that sweep. Good blocks by Hop Cassidy and Hubert Bobo and Francis Mashinsky, and he goes down the line 28 yards, down again to the midfield stripe, and some 7 plays later, Dave Leggett goes across for our second touchdown. So here's a nice long punt by fullback Hubert Bobo, a little too long, for it gave the Iowa team a chance to get formed up. Again, Smith starts up the middle, cuts to his right, picks up a lot of fine blocks, and again, he goes all the way for a touchdown. The halftime score was 14-14. In the third quarter, Dave Leggett goes on a sneak, breaks to his right, and goes 14 yards. An excellent piece of ball running by our quarterback, Dave Leggett, and out of bounds on the 27-yard line. Here's the pass from quarterback Dave Leggett. He runs to his right, fakes to his fullback, Hop Cassidy blocking for him, and he throws into the end zone to Dick Brubaker for our third touchdown to give us a lead of 20-14. Here late in the fourth quarter is Iowa with the 1st and 10 on our 13-yard line. They shift into their single wing formation, or their T-wing formation. A quick hitter by their left halfback gains 4 yards. Here's 2nd and 6. Now this time quarterback Reichow elects to run to his right and keep the ball. Here he goes. He cuts inside. He's a big boy, about 205, and picks up about 2 to 2.5 yards. Coming up now, about 3rd and 3. Here he gives the ball to his fullback on a trap play up the middle. And Mr. Fullback is met hard at the line of scrimmage for no gain. So now we come up 4th and less than 2 yards. If they make it, it'll give them a 1st down on our 5-yard line. Quarterback Reichow again starts to his right. It's jammed in there pretty tight by Don Swartz, and big Jim Parker meets it at about 1.5 yards, and that's the end of the road for Iowa. And here's a mighty happy Ohio State team leaving the field with a 20-14 victory over the University of Iowa. The game today between Ohio State and Wisconsin brings 2 of the outstanding teams in the country together. Both teams with strong defenses, both teams with good offensive backs. Alan Amici is the All-American, the Heisman Award winner. Jim Miller, the runner and passer at quarterback position for Wisconsin, is equally outstanding, but the Ohio State Buckeyes are not to be sneezed at either, for they have fine backs and a fine defense. The team that wins this game stands a very, very good chance of winning the conference championship and going to the Rose Bowl. The early part of the game finds both teams unable to move with any consistency. Here's Howard Cassidy on a trap play good for 14 yards, but a few plays later, the Bucks are forced to give up the ball. Here's Wisconsin on a reverse play from the left wing-back formation, going for about 13 yards. Their 2nd longest gain of the day. However, in the 2nd quarter, Tad Weed kicks from our 22-yard line after we'd gained 41 yards in 11 plays. Tad makes it, and it puts us out in front 3-0. On the ensuing kickoff, Dean Duggar kicks the short kick, and big Jim Parker comes down and recovers it to give us the ball on the Badger 45-yard line. First play is a bootleg pass, good faking by the backs and linemen, and Dave Leggett passes to Hop Cassidy, 23 yards for a 1st down on the Badger 23. However, 4 plays later, we were forced to give the ball. After Wisconsin was forced to kick again, the Buckeyes are in the Badger territory, with Bob Watkins going off tackle for 19 yards. A lot of driving down to the 19-yard line. But again, the Ohio State attack fails, and here is Wisconsin on a screen pass. Good for 25 yards. Beautiful blocking, good ball running by number 41, their left halfback. And he goes clear down to the 37-yard line, but 4 plays later, again, they were forced to give up the ball. And here, after an interception against Ohio State, is Jim Miller passing across the middle to number 41, who runs all the way into the end zone. And after the conversion is good, Wisconsin leads 7-3. Here's a kick just a minute before the half. Dave Leggett takes it on his own 20 and streaks straight up the middle of the field for 40 yards. But he was unable to score, so the half ended with Ohio State behind 7-3. Here in the third quarter is Alan Amici going for a first down, but he's met hard by right tackle Francis Mashinsky. So Ohio State takes over on their 40. But being unable to move, we were forced to kick, and again here is Wisconsin. This time Jim Miller hands off to the left halfback on a counter play that goes for about 15 yards plus 5 yards on the fumble. There goes the ball. Wisconsin recovers on the 36-yard line. Here's Jim Miller, the quarterback, coming back. It looks like he's going to get clobbered. But he's a clever little boy. He slides out of there, and it looks now like he's going to go somewhere. But watch Dean Duggar make a shoestring tackle right there to stop Jim Miller for a 5-yard loss. This next play is the most important play in the ball game and probably for the entire season. For Hop Cassidy intercepts on the 10, takes a few steps up the middle, cuts to his left, gets a couple of blocks, goes down the sideline. On the 20-yard line, he's forced to reverse his field. He cuts back and beats quarterback Jim Miller into the end zone for a score. The conversion is good, and now the Buckeyes go out in front 10-7. On the following kickoff, the Badgers make a tremendous effort to get back in the ball game, for their left halfback returns the ball 40 yards from his own 10 clear to midfield. Breaks to the outside here. He needs a few more blockers, but he doesn't get them. And Dave Leggett and Jerry Harkrader drive him out of bounds on the 50. This is the play with Howard Cassidy going off tackle. A good double team by Francis Mashinsky and Dick Brubaker, led by left guard Jerry Williams. Here goes Hop. He's trying to shake that deep man, Jim Miller, but he can't do it this time. He does, however, make his way across the midfield stripe, clear down to the 30-yard line. Here a couple plays later shows Dave Leggett on a roll-out pass. Good fake to the fullback. Hop blocking for him. Throws the ball to right halfback Bob Watkins, who's wide open, and goes clear down to the 3-yard line. On the next play, number 42, our fullback, drives over his own left guard for the touchdown. Watch the block by Howard Cassidy and Jerry Williams, our left guard. Again, the conversion is good, and Ohio State leads 17-7. Here's Alan Amici again trying to sweep the end. A beautiful, beautiful tackle again by Dean Duggar. In this game, Dean Duggar made the All-American. Now here is Dave Leggett keeping the ball on the option play and going 27 yards and running, standing up into the end zone to score another touchdown for the Buckeyes. The score now is 24-7, and a fumble recovered by Don Swartz on the Wisconsin 10, and here goes Dave again. This time he pitches off to Jerry Harkrader. Here's a beautiful picture run, and Jerry worms his way into the end zone. And again, the conversion is good, and Ohio State leads 31-7, having scored 4 touchdowns in 12 minutes of play. Then an 80-yard drive, mainly by the passes of Jim Maluska, gives Wisconsin a consolation touchdown, and the final score of the ball game is Ohio State 31, Wisconsin 14. After the victory over Wisconsin, it was obvious that we had to win 2 out of the next 3 conference games, so we considered Northwestern a must. Maybe because of this we pressed a little bit, or Northwestern was at their best. Anyhow, here goes their fullback scoring from the 10-yard line to give them a 7-0 lead. But not for long, because in 6 plays we marched 71 yards to score. Here's Bob Watkins going 14 yards, good blocking, down to the 31-yard line. And on the next play, fullback Hubie Bobo goes to his right over Moose Mashinsky, cuts back inside, good block by Jim Reichenbaugh, and Dick Helinski and Dean Duggar, and Hubert Bobo goes all the way to score standing up. The conversion by Tad Weed is good. The score is tied 7-7. The next 2 quarters are seesaw battles played mostly in Northwestern territory, and here in the first minute of the 4th quarter, Dave Leggett gets a pass into the end zone to Bob Watkins. Again, Tad Weed comes in and converts, and it gives us a hard-fought, hard-won victory. Here's a non-conference school coming to town, Pittsburgh, with victories over Navy, West Virginia, and Northwestern. Admiral Tom Hamlin, their coach, is a Columbus boy, and he'd like nothing better than to win this ball game, and they started off as though they meant to do it. Here's their left halfback, Lenny Ford, going off tackle for a 20-yard gain. Actually, that was their longest gain of the day, and was the only time in which they crossed the midfield stripe. They made 3 first downs in the first quarter, and they made a total of 2 first downs in the last 3 quarters. Here's Dave Leggett tossing the ball off to fullback Hubie Bobo. Good block by Bob Watkins, and Hubie Bobo crosses the midfield stripe as we march 81 yards in 14 plays for our first score. Here's a bootleg. Dave Leggett fakes to Jerry Harkrader, keeps the ball. Good blocks by Thornton, Holinsky, Brubaker, and Mashinsky, and Dave Leggett goes down to the 2-yard line. 2 plays later, our fine right halfback Bob Watkins dives in the end zone for our first score, with little Tad Weed converting to give us a 7-0 lead. Late in the second quarter, Don Swartz recovered a pit fumble. Here's a flare pass to Jimmy Roseborough, who goes 22 yards down to the pit 14-yard line with time running out in the half. On the next play, quarterback Dave Leggett steps back and fires in the left flat to our left end, Bill Michael. Bill Michael does a little shimmy dance here, watch it. And he leaves that halfback on the ground as Bill walks into the end zone. So we enjoy a halftime lead of 14-0 with Tad Weed again converting. Here in the third quarter, we march 81 yards in 17 tries, and this gets us off to a good start with a pass from Dave Leggett to Dick Brubaker. And here's Bob Watkins on the quick trap with Jim Reichenbach getting a good block, and both ends getting a good block, and Bob goes up the middle for 22 yards in our third score. The conversion is not good, but we lead 20-0. Here's Carroll Howell in the fourth quarter going 7 yards on a quick hitter. Carroll is a senior left halfback from Portsmouth. And now on the next play, Kenny Thompson, a sophomore halfback carrying the ball for the first time in his career, takes it on a pitch out from Bill Booth, a good block by Jack Gibbs, another good block by Dave Weaver, and a block by our center Tommy Dillman, and Kenny goes into the end zone to give us a 26-0 victory over the University of Pittsburgh. Purdue is noted for being the spoiler makers in the Big Ten. Very often they've derailed the team that's on the way to the Rose Bowl. This year they'd certainly like to do it again. The first quarter was played deep in our own territory. It wasn't until late in that quarter that Bob Watkins on a counterplay breaks out, avoids 1 tackler, 2, here's All-American Tom Bettis, number 3, and he doesn't get him. Finally knocked out of bounds on the 40-yard line to give us our start. Here's Howard Cassidy on the option play coming the right, Dave Leggett pitching off, a good block by Hubert Bobo. He avoids 2 of those men and goes for 23 yards. Put the ball down to the 30-yard line. On the next play, Bob Watkins takes the ball on the same play to the other side. The option, here's Dave Leggett pitching off, and here's Bob Watkins. Good block by Hubert Bobo. Break through 3 tacklers, and he practically walks across the goal line for our first score. Little Tad comes in and converts to give us a 7-0 lead. The next touchdown comes with great suddenness. It goes 68 yards. Here's the pitch out. Watch the block by Bobo. He gets 2 men right there. And a beautiful block here by Dean Duggar right there. And Howard cuts back, loses the last man, and streaks into the end zone standing up to give us a 14-0 lead. But it wasn't that easy. Twice Purdue had threatened to score on us. And now to start the third quarter. In 14 plays, we march 80 yards. Here's the quick hitter with Howard Cassidy going 21 yards to bring it to midfield. The next play shows Dave Leggett scoring from about the 2-yard line. Again, Tad Weed converts, and we lead 21-0. But now Purdue finally puts together a march. Murakowski starting from our 9. He goes into the end zone for Purdue's only touchdown. Watch the next play. Here's the try for extra point. Watch number 43, Jimmy Roseborough, streak up the middle to block Purdue's try for the extra point. So we're still leading now 15 points, 21-6. Here's Hubert Bobo on the draw play. Beautiful block here by number 45, Bob Watkins, right there. And Hubert Bobo goes 32 yards before he's brought down on the Purdue 35. The next play shows the draw play again with an excellent block by our right guard. Watch number 63 turn out on the tackle. There he is. A beautiful block, and Hubert Bobo has time to cut up the middle. Again, Bob Watkins tries but doesn't quite get that block, and Hubert Bobo gets down the 17-yard line. And 2 plays later, Dave Leggett fakes the off-tackle play, steps back, and very quickly hits Captain Dick Brubaker again in the end zone for our 4th and final touchdown to give us a win of 28-6 over Purdue. In this game today between Ohio State and Michigan, it brings together one team winner of 8 in a row, the other team having won 6 out of 8 and lost 1 game to Indiana in the conference. This is the most important game ever played in the Ohio Stadium. For resting on this game is the conference championship. Ohio State can win it outright. If they lose the game, they will tie for it. Also riding on it will be the trip to the Rose Bowl and the national championship as well. This is truly a great game in Ohio State football history. On the first play from scrimmage, Michigan's left halfback Klein drives off tackle, cuts back, and avoids 6 Ohio State football players in worming his way clear down to the Ohio State 41-yard line. The Michigan march continued, and here they are on the 7-yard line, 4th and 2. An end around is faked, and the pitch out goes to Klein, left halfback, who streaks into the end zone standing up for Michigan's first and only score. The conversion is good, and Michigan leads 7-0. Here's Dave Leggett late in the first quarter going out to pass. He's rushed, he cuts back, he picks up a couple of good blocks, and he runs almost to the midfield stripe. Michigan deep in their own territory, punts to Howard Cassidy. Cassidy follows the ball back and takes it deep in his own territory on about the 18-yard line, avoids 1 tackler, picks up some good blocks, and brings it out to the Ohio State 37-yard line. However, Michigan takes over a little later, and here's the buck up the middle, going clear down the Ohio State 10. However, Michigan was stopped. They're back again, and here's the pass right before the half into the flat, and it's intercepted by Jack Gibbs, Ohio State's senior fullback, and Jack streaks down the sideline, gets all the way down to the 10. Jim Reichenbach couldn't throw a block because it would have been a clip. The ball did not go out of bounds. Ohio State was penalized 5 yards for illegal substitution. And here's the pass from Dave Leggett to right end Freddie Chris, who falls into the end zone for the first Ohio State score. Tad Weed comes in to convert, and the Buckeyes leave the field at the half, tied 7-7. Here in the third quarter is Howard Cassidy going off tackle on the belly play. He cuts out, picks up 20 yards before he's brought down. However, 3 plays later, Ohio State was forced to kick. And here is Michigan fullback going up the middle for the longest gain of the regular season, some 31 yards. And here is Michigan on the 4-yard line, 1st and goal to go. First play is a buck, off tackle. Dean Duggar and Dick Olinsky stop it for about a half-yard gain. Here it is on the 3-yard line, 2nd and 3. Here's the left halfback going off tackle, but finding no hole, he cuts it back. He stopped the entire middle of the Ohio State line. Now 3rd and goal, about 3rd and 3. And Dave Hill, the Michigan fullback, slices off his own left guard down to the 1-yard line. Now here it is, 4th and about 20 inches to go. And the whole Ohio State team stops Mr. Dave Hill on just about the 6-inch line. Now what play would you call? Here's Dave Leggett standing a yard in the end zone. He called the only right play that could be called, and he sneaks out to the 3-yard line, 2nd and 7. That play went so well, he calls it again. And he goes out to the 9-yard line. throw it down a little bit short of a first down. Here it is, third and less than a yard to go, and he picks up that yard for a first down on the Ohio State 11-yard line. Now here's Howard Cassidy on the off-tackle play. He cuts it back in over the guard. Good blocking downfield, and he breaks it out here. Looks as though he might get in the clear, but the Michigan defender has the angle on him and finally drives him out of bounds after a gain of 52 yards by Howard Cassidy. The first play is a quarterback sneak between the guards by Dave Leggett for about 5 yards. The next play is a draw play. And Hubert Bobo goes for about 7 yards and a first down on the Michigan 24. Another draw play. This time it's good for about 6 yards. 2nd and 4. And Dave Leggett sneaks for the first down. Now Dave Leggett goes to the left, cuts back inside and picks up only about 2 yards. Next he calls on his fullback up the middle, but it's no gain. So now the quarterback comes up with a 3rd and 8 play. And he fakes to Cassidy, he rolls out to his left. Good block by Don Swartz, and here's the pass into the end zone to right end Dick Brubaker for the touchdown. Tad Weed comes in and converts, and the score is now 14-7 favor Ohio State. Here's a rollout pass a few minutes later from Dave Leggett to left end Dean Duggar. Beautiful catch as he steps out of bounds on the Michigan 42-yard line. However, Michigan takes over, and here's a pass down the field, and it's intercepted by Howard Cassidy. He starts up the sideline and gets clear up to the 38-yard line. Here's Dave Leggett again on the draw play. This one goes a little bit farther. Hubert Bobo carrying clear down to the 15-yard line. Here's a pass supposedly to the left end, but Dave Leggett finds him covered. He reverses his field, comes back and finds Jerry Harkrader clear down on the 5-yard line. Jerry runs it down to the 1-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds. And here's the handoff to Howard Cassidy, and Howard goes into the end zone for our 3rd touchdown. The conversion is made. By Tad Weed, and the score now is 21-7 favor Ohio State. And here's the last play of the ball game with Michigan passing and Richard Young, a senior right halfback, intercepting, bringing the ball back to the 27-yard line. And with this 21-7 victory over Michigan goes the undisputed conference championship, the trip to the Rose Bowl, and the national championship. In playing Southern California, we were playing the number 2 team on the West Coast. However, we knew they'd give us a tough ball game, for we had scouted them against Notre Dame. We were worried about keeping our boys in top shape for that game, and of course we didn't expect the inclement weather which came on the morning of January 1st. And there's Dave Leggett going across the goal line for our first touchdown on a 2-yard sneak. Tad Weed converted, and we led at this point 7-0. Here's Bob Watkins on the trap going up the middle. It's time for about 17 yards. Here's our 2nd touchdown with Dave Leggett rolling out and throwing to Bob Watkins. Again, the conversion is good, and Ohio State leads 14-0 in the 2nd quarter. Here's Dave Leggett on the same play. This time he elects to run. A good block by Hubert Bobo, another good block on the sideline, and Dave Leggett picks up 22 yards. The last shot is our third touchdown, with Jerry Harkrader taking the lateral from Dave Leggett. Good block by Hugh Bobo, and he goes into the end zone. He skids into the end zone for our third touchdown, and the final score, Ohio State 20, Southern Cal 7. 4 years ago, these men came to Ohio State to get an education and to play football. They've given us some of the greatest football ever played in the Ohio Stadium. Football that we'll remember for many, many years. Thanks, men.